All right, this is Daf Yomi in motion number 791. Today we're going to learn Daf Ayin Aleph in Bab Metzia, and we're going to be speaking about Ribis Begerim. More starts on Ayin Amid Base at the bottom, 3 lines up from the bottom. We're talking about Ribis Be. The Mishnah spoke about taking whether or not that it's mutter to take ribis from goyim. In fact, the more Esve. Lovin mehen v'malvin oisom. We're allowed the ribis. We're allowed to take ribis from the goyim, and also we're allowed to to give a loan to a goy and to take ribis from them. V'chein beger toishav, and not only with a goy mamish, but also with a ger toishav, which is also a goy, and it's just that they living in our midst, and they were makabel on themselves not to be oived of Avodah or to eat nevelis. So they're also like they all are goyim, and so we can take loans from them and pay them ribis, and we can give them loans and charge them ribis. Omer Rav Chia Berei de Rav Huna. What are we learning? Why is our Mishnah teaching us this? Lo nitzricha ela b'kidei chayav. This that we're allowed to take ribis from a goy and to give them and to pay them ribis. It's tekanas chachamim. Really, it's muter. But tekanas chachamim, we're learning over here that we're only supposed to take it as much as we need to live off of. The person has his parnos, he's a banker, so he can, as long as he can continue to run his bank by taking ribis from the people, then it's muter. But if he wants to become a millionaire by taking ribis, continuing to take ribis from the goyim, then it becomes asa. Ravina Omar, Hocha b'talmidei chachamim askinen. We're talking about talmidei chachamim, that when we're talking about allowing them to take here, because really the din is that you're only supposed to take ribis from them as much to survive with. So when we say over here that in this mission that it's mamash muter, we're talking about talmidei chachamim. The reason why they were geyser to only take ribis from the goyim, even though meikar adin it's mamash muter, only to take ribis from the goyim as much as you need to survive for your livelihood, because Rashi says the Chazal didn't want us to learn from their ways. So when our Mishnah says that you're mamash allowed to take ribis from the goyim, so that's only talking about the talmidei chachamim. Where it's muter. And the reason is time of my gozu rabbanin shema yilmod mimasad. That was the whole gezerah not to take ribis too much from the goyim, more than you really need, is because you be in contact with them too much and you learn from their ma'asim. The kaven the talmid chacham, and if we're dealing with the talmid chacham, he's not going to learn from their ma'asim because he's going to be separated from them in every other way. No yilmud in ma'asav, so then it's really muter for him to be Isaac in that, I guess, more than the usual person. Ma'asav ika demasne lo leha to Rav Huna. So that din of Rav Huna that taught us this, that there's really exeris chachamim, how much you're supposed to be taking the ma'aser from. So some learn it like this. Ika demasne lo leha de Rav Huna. Aha de Tani Rav Yosef. He applied it to what Rav Yosef said. Because Rav Yosef had a memra. He quoted a pasuk. He says, "Im kesef talve es ami." Es heoni imoch. So the whole pasuk says, "Im kesef talve es ami, es heoni imoch." If you should lend money to my people, the oniyim amongst you. Lo tielo kinoshe, lo tisimun olav neshek. So lend to them and don't take ribis from the name of the Am Yisrael. That's what Rav Yosef, he quoted this pasuk. So they darshan from the pasuk. In case of talve es ami, es ha'oni imoch, the oniyim amongst you. So ami what do we learn from that? As Ami, you should give loans to your people, my people. So we darshan Ami b'nochri Ami kodem. So if you have a choice whether to give a loan to a yid or to a goy, you should give it to the yid. And we further learn oni the oshir, oni kodem. If you have a choice between whether to give it to an oni or an oshir, so give it to the oni first. Aniyecha ve'aniyeh irecha. If you have in the mishpacha, a person has a name in his mishpacha, or he has a choice to give it to the anim of the city, he should give it to the anim of his mishpacha first. And if he has a choice between, so aniyecha kodmin, should give it to his own anim first. Aniyeh irecha, v'aniyeh iracheres. If he has a choice to give the tzedakah to the anim, or to give a loan to the anim of his city, or to give it to the anim of another city. So aniyeh irecha kodmin, he should give it to the anim of his city first. Omar ma, Ami b'nochri Ami kodem. Pshita. What is Rabbi Yosef telling us when he's learning from this pasuk? The aniyeh, so a yid or a goy, if he has a choice to give it a loan to the yid or the goy, we're being taught that you should give it to the yid, not to the goy. It's pasha, of course. We would know that. So Omar Rav Nachman, what was he teaching us? Omar li huna lo nitzricha. No, lo nitzricha. We really do need to learn that, Dan. Why? Afilu nachri beribis for Yisrael bechinam. Even if you have a chance of making money, right, by giving a loan with interest to a goy, but the yid also needs the loan, so you should. The tzivui is to give it to the Yisrael and not to make money on the goy. Tanya Omer Rabbi Yossi, Bo v're'eh simius and in einehem shel malvei ribis. Come and see how much to malvei ribis can blind the eyes of a person. He can't see straight. He can't see the emes. Odem kaira lechaveru Russia yoredimo lechayov. If a person would call another person a Russia, the person who's called a Russia would be so incensed that he would do everything to take nekama out on the other person until he would drive himself all the way to the end of his life to get nekama out. The hem, however, what do we see with malvei ribis? That they're willing to sign kilu, that they themselves are Rishayim, to sign on the dotted line that they are Rishayim, just that they're so blind to the fact what they're doing, because they have to write a whole star in the beginning of the transaction, claiming that this is going to be a transaction based on ribis. In essence, they're signing that they themselves are Rishayim. Whereas if somebody would call them a Russia, they would go to the ends of the earth to get nekama out for them. That shows how much ribis can blind the eyes of a person. The hem, meaning the malvei beribis, mivian edim, ve'lavler, and they also bring a scribe, bekulmus, and the pen, v'diu, and the ink, the kaisvin v'chaisvin ploni zeh kaifer be'elokei Yisrael. Maybe b'yadayim they sign that they themselves are kaifer Yisrael. All right. Tanya Rabbi Shimon, I did the Gemara. So we said that that's how much that ribis can blind a person, that he normally will do everything to take revenge on someone who would just call him a Russia. But when it comes to ribis, he's signing his name that he's mamash a Russia, and could be the Ba'olam Ha'emes, so it's going to be used against him. So Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Omer, call me sheyesh lo mois, anyone who has money, v'malva oisam, shelo beribis, olav hakosav omer. Now on him it is said, the pasuk in Tehillim, it says, Kaspo lo nosan b'neshech mishoichad al noki, or lo lokach, or he didn't give any shoichad against the person who's innocent in order to win the mishpat. Whoever does these things, who gives loans without ribis and doesn't pay bribes to convict an innocent person, so lo yomut lo'ilam, he won't fall down ever. He'll never fall down, whether physically or financially. So it says, Kaspa lo nosan beneshek b'shoichad al noki lo lokach oise elu. Whoever does this lo yomut lo ilam. He won't. So they medaik the opposite. Ha lamarata should call hamal beribis. Whoever would be mal beribis. So for him, he will be moitet. So nechosad mismotatin. So he will lose all of his nechosim. Wow, we see also that people sometimes they're not malva beribis, and still they lose their nechasim sometimes. So on Rabbi Lazar, the difference between these two people is that halalu mismotatin ba'ilin, the people that didn't take ribis, they might sometimes lose their nechasim, but they'll come back. Halalu mismotatin ba'inin oilin, those that lost their money by way of charging ribis, so they'll lose, they'll fall, and they won't come back. The pasuk that says, the whole pasuk reads, Tahor einayim meirois ro, v'habi el omol lo suchol. So, loma sabi boigdim tacharish. Should the traders, why should they be able to see Tachrish Bibala Rosh Tzadik Memenu? Why should they be able to see why should they be able to drive someone who's a tzaddik more than them, drive them down and see that they don't come up again? That's the pasuk. So they darshan from that. Who goes down and doesn't come back up? A tzaddik that's just a little bit better than the Rasha, and that's what the Gemara says. Gebola Rasha tzaddik memenu. So Amar Rav Huna tzaddik memenu baila. Who's absorbed? Who goes down and is eaten up, swallowed up, and doesn't come back up? That's a tzaddik that's just a little bit better than the Rasha. But a tzaddik gomer ain't no baila. Tzaddik gomer isn't swallowed up permanently. He'll always come back. Tanya Rebbe Omer. Rebbe had some shilas. Rebbe Omer. Ger tzedek ha'omer le'inin mechira. It mentions ger tzedek by the mechiras avadim. The ger toshav, and also mentions a ger toshav ha'omer le'inin ribis. Like we mentioned ribis, that you can take ribis from a ger toshav because they're goy, and you can also, if they gave you a personal loan, he can also pay them ribis. So Rebbe didn't understand what it meant by a ger tzedek in relation to selling eved ivri, whether or not that an eved ivri can be sold to a ger tzedek, and that ribis can be taken from the ger toshav. Why? So any Yudei Mahi, I don't know the pshat in these Mishnayos prices. Ger tzedek ha'omer le'inyan mechira. What was his problem with the guy with the ger tzedek? The Chesiv, the pasuk says, Ki yomuch achicha imoch v'nimkar loch. When one of the yid will become poor and he'll have to sell himself, he'll be sold loch. So lo savoy bo avoidus of it. So don't work him too hard. So it says, they quote that pasuk, V'chi yamuch achicha imoch v'nimkar loch. So the darshan doesn't just mean loch, below loch. It's lav dafka loch to you that it's being sold, because we have another pasuk that says that he's really being sold to a ger. Below loch. Ela lager. Really, we see in the Pesukim that when he's selling himself, he's being sold to a ger. Shneimah, because we have a pasuk that says, Ki sasig yod ger, the soishav imach, when the ger or the soishav who is in the midst of a yidden becomes rich, imach, and one of the yidden becomes poor, imach, v'nimkar lager toishav, and he'll be sold to the ger toishav. Imoch, which is living amongst the Yidden, or le'eker mishpachas ger, or to an eker mishpachas ger. Mamish means nachri mamish, meaning the mishpacha of the ger. Oh, the eker means the oved chav mamish. Gemara explains. Leger shnema leger v'lo. That says mamish the eved ivri is being sold to the ger. But not only a ger tzedek, below the ger tzedek is he being sold to, but he's being sold to a ger toishav, which is a goy. El leger toishav, Shneama says leger toishav. Mishpachas ger says Mishpachas Ger. Who's that? That's the Nachri. That's Mamash Nachri because the Mishpacha of the Ger is Agoyim. Zeh Hanachri. So the Eved Ivri is Mamash being sold to the Nachri. Kishu Omer Ola Eker. So what did it mean by or is being sold to the Eker? So what did that mean? Zeh Nimkala Odus Avodas Chachavim. Atzma, mamash to the avodas chachavim, mamash to cut the wood and to bring the water for the avodas chachavim. Sometimes you can end up being sold for. Omar Mar, we said that it's not really being sold to the yid; it's being sold to the ger. Omar La, this is part of Rabbi's kasha. The guy be the ger tosha, or the guy be the ger tzedek. His problem with the Eved Ivri being sold to the ger tzedek. Below loch, el ger. He's being sold to the ger. Rebbe's Shaila is how can we see that an Eved Ivri is being sold to the ger? Shneimaz, it says leger, he's being sold to the ger. Lemema, what are we learning from there? Lemema, the ger koni Eved Ivri. So that's the whole problem, because we see here a ger being kaina and Eved Ivri, and that's a problem. Vermini, we have a brisa. Brisa says ein a ger nikna Eved Ivri, and a ger cannot be himself sold as an Eved Ivri. The ain isha v'ger kainin Eved Ivri, and not only that, but an isha and a ger cannot buy an Eved Ivri. So how can we be saying over here that a ger tzedek is buying, like the Eved Ivri is being sold to the ger? So ger, why do we say that the ger can't be sold as an Eved Ivri? Ger lo nikna be'Eved Ivri. Why not? Because in order for whoever is sold as an Eved Ivri, he has to be able to be Mekayim the pasuk of Vishav el Mishpachto, that he can, at the end of the 6-year period, he can go back to his Mishpacha. Since the Ger doesn't have a Mishpacha to go back to, that's why he can't ever be sold as an Eved Ivri. The Ein Ishan, the Ger, Koinin Eved Ivri, but the Isha V'Ger can't buy an Eved Ivri. Isha love Orach Ara. It's not Isser. It's not a Isser for her not to buy an Eved Ivri, but it's not Orach Ara. Rashi says because it should be Yichud with him all the time. So therefore, she doesn't do it. She shouldn't do it. And a ger, how do we know that they're not supposed to buy Eved Ivri? To makne kone, that whoever can buy an Eved Ivri can be kaina. Whoever can sell himself as an Eved Ivri can be kaina another Eved Ivri, and that's why would be why a ger can't buy an Eved Ivri, because he can't be sold as an Eved Ivri, like we learned before, because he doesn't have a mishpacha to return to. To lo makne, lo koni. If he can't be sold as an Eved Ivri, he can't acquire an Eved Ivri, and that's why he can't buy an Eved Ivri. Amar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. That was Rebbe's shaila legabi the ger tzedek, legabi acquiring an Eved Ivri. Amar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak. Eino kaina. What we mean is no. So that was Rebbe's shaila. But when we said the pasuk said that the Eved Ivri is sold to the ger, it's true. He is sold to the ger. Really, the din is that Eved Ivri can be sold to the ger. So then why was it mashma that he can't? Because we have to have a person that can be sold, he himself can become a ger in order for an Eved Ivri to be sold to him. What we meant was that when he will buy an Eved Ivri, he can, but he can't buy him with all the dinim that a Yid Yisrael would buy the Eved Ivri. For example, when an Eved Ivri buys him, if he's nirtza, so then. So no, if an Eved Ivri, a Yisrael would buy an Eved Ivri, if the Yisrael would die, his children would inherit the Eved over from the father. But the din is that the ger that will buy an Eved Ivri, if he will die, so the Eved will not be Yoresh over to his children. He might be kind of the Eved Ivri, but he won't be kind it with the dinim of a Yisrael. That's what I meant. So he said, "Einu kaina v'dino ki Yisrael." He won't be kind of the Eved Israel and have the din of a Israel when he's kind of him. About kaina v'dino ki nachri. He can be kind of the Eved Ivri and have a din of a nachri, just as a nachri that would acquire an Yisrael as an Eved. If the nachri would die, the children don't inherit the Eved Ivri. So too, if a ger will die, his children will not be Yerush the Eved Ivri. The time we learn in the Brisa, Hanirtza v'nimkar lenachri enu oivid lo esaben below esabat. The two cases where the Eved Ivri doesn't go over to the Yorshim, that would be with Yisrael. If the Eved wanted to stay and had nirtza, the hole was bored into his ear. He didn't want to leave at the end of his term. If, in a case like that, if the Adon would then die, that Eved will not be Yorish over to the children of that Adon. And so too, if an Eved Ivri is sold to a Nachri, and then Nachri dies, he doesn't go be Yerusha over to the children of that Nachri. And that would be, so too, with the ger. That would be the dinim that the ger would have when he buys an Eved Ivri. Omar Ma, the Ein Ish of a ger, Kain an Eved Ivri. We learn that they can't buy an Eved Ivri. So name a Delo Ki Rabban Shimon Gamliel. That seems like to be that there's a Madom that's holik on that shita. That would be Rabban Shimon Gamliel holds the mashma that they could buy an Eved Ivri. Why? We see a brisa that says, the Tanya, Isha Kaina es ashifchais. Isha could buy shifchais. The Eno Kaina es avadim, but she can't buy avadim. That's the Tanakama. Rabban Shimon Gamliel Omer, Af Kaina es avadim, that the Isha could even buy avadim. So therefore, it's mashma that from this price, Rabban Shimon Gamliel holds that a woman can buy avadim, and the above price was mashma women and gerim can't buy avadim. And avadim Eved Ivri. So Moore says no, really. It's not. Rabban Shimon Gamliel is not holik on that sheet above. Filu tema Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel also would agree that a woman can not buy avadim. Lokash is not a problem between the two brises. Kan be'eved Ivri, kan be'eved Kanani. When we say that the woman cannot buy an Eved, that's an Eved Ivri. When we said in the next brise that according to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel that she can buy an Eved, she's allowed to buy an Eved Kanani. Eved Ivri Tzimiya law. Then the Eved Ivri, if she will have Zanus with him, buy him and have Zanus with him, so that's a problem because he'll be embarrassed to be farsem there's Zanus. She knows he'll keep it quiet. So therefore, it could be a michshal to that she could be miskalkelis with him. So therefore, she shouldn't buy him because he's the type of person, and Eved Ivri will keep it quiet. So she can be miskal. They can both be miskalkel with each other. But if she buys an Eved Kanani, she knows that the Eved Kanani is going to, if they have znus, the Eved Kanani is going to be mefarsim to everybody. So therefore, she will be embarrassed to do anything with him, and so therefore she's allowed to buy the Eved Kanani. The Eved Kanani paritz law umamish be mefarsim everything that she did, so she'll be afraid to do anything. Ila haditoni Rav Yosef, you see, Rav Yosef brought down in the brisa. Rav Yosef brought down in the brisa that an amolosa lo tarve kalva, that an almana should not raise a dog in her house. Lo tashri barbe rab boshpiza, that an almana should not raise a dog. If she has a motel, she shouldn't. A young Talmud Chacham shouldn't go and stay in her inn. So Bishlim, a barbe, Rab, Tzniya law, you can understand why the Talmud Chacham shouldn't be there, because she'll know that he will keep. If she has news with him, he'll keep it quiet. Therefore, it could be a nichshal for both of them. So he shouldn't go to her inn. Elakalva. Why shouldn't she be able to raise a dog? She should be embarrassed by a dog if she sees the dog following after her. Everyone is going to know that it's following after her because she was nearby with the dog. So she'll be careful not to do anything with the dog because she'll be afraid that the dog will follow after her. That's what the Gemara is asking. Since that if she'll do anything with him, she'll follow after her and then she'll be embarrassed. She'll be afraid to do anything. because everyone is going to say that it follows after her because she's nearer with her. So Omre, one says the reason why she can't raise a dog, Omre, because it's said that with a dog, Kevan deki shadiyallah umso masrich basra. It's general clow. It's known that if a person throws food to the dog will follow after that person who gave it food. So there's not going to be a problem therefore there would be a problem because she won't be embarrassed because she knows that people will think, Amre Inche, Mishum Umsa, the Shadiyallah hu the Masrich, because she's going to know that people are going to just think that she feeds the dog, and that's why it follows after her, so she won't be embarrassed. And so she shouldn't have dogs in her house because she might be miskalka with it. Ger Toishav. Now comes the second shaila that Rav had. That was the shaila that he had about the Ger Tzedek, about how the Ger Tzedek is mashma is buying an Eved Ivri. And we had other makoros that they can't buy it. So the answer was that he can buy, but he won't buy it with the dinim of a Yisrael when a Yisrael buys an Eved Ivri. But the other shaila of Rebbe was, what about the Ger Toshav? How can the Ger Toshav that we had in our Mishnah that you can take Ribis from him and pay him Ribis? Ger Toshav ha'omar le'inyan Ribis. So Mahi, what was Rebbe's suffix about that? Because the shaila was that we have a pasuk that says V'yotza mi'imoch hu uvonai imo v'shov el mishpachtoi ve'el achuzas avoisav yoshuv. Oh no, that's not the pasuk. Pasuk says, when one of the fellow Yid will become poor, and he'll need help, and you'll help him. So, ger b'toishav, v'ochai imoch, ger b'toishav, and he should live with you. Al tikach mi'ito neshech. Don't take ribis from him, v'tarbis. Yureisa melokecha v'chei ochicha imoch, and he should live with you. So it's mashma from there that you're not supposed to take ribis from him. So how come our Mishnah was mashma that you can take, since he's a goy, you can take ribis from him? That was Rebbe's shaila gabi the ger tosha from this pasuk. So he said, "V'chi yimoch achicha v'mata yodo imoch v'tirzachta bo ger v'tosha v'chai imoch al tikach mi'ito neshech v'tarbis v'yiresa me'elakecha v'chai achicha imoch." Romini, we have a contradiction from our Mishnah. It says, Lavin mehen, malvin oisan, that you can, mamish, take loans from the ger toshav and pay them the ribis, and you can also give them loans and collect ribis from them. The ribis. V'chein b'ger toshav. It said that was l'gabi a goy, and then the Mishnah said also with the ger toshav. So Omer Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, miksiv al tikach moisam. Does it say don't take ribis from them? In this pasuk that we just had from Vayikra, when the ger toshav is amongst us, it says al tikach mi'ito, don't take from him. It doesn't say from them. Mi'ito, ksiv, the Gemara says, mi Yisrael. Don't take ribis from a Yisrael. That's what I mean. That was referring to the taking ribis from Yisrael, but it doesn't mean that you can't take ribis from a ger toshav. So then why was it mashma in that pasuk? Why was ger toshav mentioned in that pasuk? Tanu Rabbanan, we have a brayso. Al tikach mi'ito neshech v'tarvis. That's going on the Yisrael. About ato taselo arev. What you can do is you can't. So you can't take ribis from a Yisrael, but you can become an arev for him if he has a. If that's what it says, it's the brayso that says you can become an arev for one person who you cannot take ribis from, but you can still become an arev. he can become a guarantor for a loan that he has, even if the loan is a loan of Ribis. In fact, the Gemara. So, Leman, which type of a person are you becoming an Orev for? Orev Yisrael. If you're talking about becoming an Orev for a loan of Yisrael, so how can that be mutter? Now we learn Elu Oivrin, below Sase. These are those that can be over on a low Sase of Ribis, of making a deal based on Ribis. Hamav v'aloiva, ha'arev va'edim. All the people involved, the Mav, the Loiva, the Arev, and the Edim, can all be over in the law of stipulating Ribis in a transaction. So what are we talking about where we say that it's mutter to be an Arev in a loan that has Ribis? Elo l'nochri, we're talking about a loan of Ribis. With a Nochri, a Yid can be an Arev for that. The Kavan did Dine, the Nochri, the more is asking. When the Nochrim collect loans, have loans, and they have an Orev, their din is that they go straight to the Orev immediately. They don't even go to the Loiv at all. They can and they do go straight to the Orev. Kevin the Dine de Nochre to Ozul Base Orava, they go straight to the Orev. So what happens is how can it be that a person can become an Orev for a loan of a Nochri? They will go straight to him. That means that it's Ki'ilu he lent the money to the Orev. And with Ribis. So then it's if the Orev will pay that money with the Ribis, it's Ki'ilu that the real Loiva was really borrowing from the Orev, the Ribis. So then it's a Yisrael taking a loan of Ribis from another Yisrael. So how can it be mutter? So ihu niu dika shakil mine. He's really so it's the Yisrael, the Orev, that is taking the Ribis from the real Lova. The shakil mine Ribisa. So how can it be that we're talking about a loan of a Nachri and it's mutter for Yisrael to be an Orev? Omer Rav Sheshis, Shekibel Olive Ludon Bedina Yisrael. We're talking about a Nachri that went into this transaction with the accepting all the dinim of Yisrael Gabi loans. In fact, the Gemara, Yekibel Olive Ludon Bedina Yisrael. If he's accepting on himself to make a transaction based on the dinim of the Torah, so then Bedina Yisrael. Ribis nami lo lishko. He shouldn't be taking the ribis. Why is he taking ribis? Okay, by taking the hanhagas of the base, and so he doesn't go to the orev first. He'll go to the loiva. So it doesn't make the orev like the loiva. Fine, but he shouldn't have been taking ribis in the first place because if he's going according to the dinei Torah, Amar Rav Sheshis, what he did was the shekibel olav luzu v'lo kibel olav luzu. He accepted some of the din, the mahalchim of the transaction al pi Torah, and other parts he didn't accept. He took on himself that he wouldn't go straight to the orev, but he didn't accept the parts of the dinei Torah that he wouldn't take ribis, and he still took ribis. So that's why it's muter to be an orev for a halva vaygoy that took on himself not to go to the Orev first. No, so it's not considered that the Orev was the Lova. Oh. That what happened was that since the Orev was would not necessarily be turned to first, so really the Nochri will go to the Loiva first. But if he'll decide, so it's not considered that the loan was really given to the Orev because it's only first the Malva will go to the Loiva. If at some point he decides to turn to the Orev, at that moment that's considered when he becomes high of that amount, and that amount includes the Ribis. So therefore it's not like he started off with the amount of the loan and then is now adding on extra money for the Ribis. It's at that moment later when there's a chiyuv the Ribis, that's the amount that he's being mechayev himself to pay back to the Malva, and if he'll pay it back, so therefore there's no extra money being added on to what he originally was mechayim himself for. So there's no ribis in that. Malva Yisrael, we said in the Mishnah that Malva Yisrael moisav shel nachri, that a Yisrael can take the money of a nachri, and it can be Malva, lend it out to a Yisrael for ribis, as long as it's midas hanachri. If it's ki'ilu, like he's acting as a shliach of the nachri, when he's using the nachri's money and giving it over to a Yisrael and getting the ribis back, then it would be muter. So Tana Rabbana, we learn in Brisa. So Malvi Yisrael Moisav Shel Nachri, he can take the money of a Nachri and lend it out, as long as it's Midas HaNachri. The Kilu, he's a shlich of the Nachri knows that what he's doing and wants him to give it over to the Yisrael, and there's ribis involved, and it's not a problem. About Lo Midas Yisrael, it says that he can't do it if he's doing it, giving it over to the Yisrael, Midas Yisrael. What does that mean? What is the case? Yisrael shaloiva ma'is min anachri, Yisrael that took a loan from a nachri and the ribis, and he has to pay him back the ribis with the loan. The bikesh lach ziram lo, and now he wants to pay back his loan to the nachri, and he's going to pay back with the ribis also. So motzu Yisrael acher, and somebody finds him at that stage and wants the money for himself and take the loan for himself. He wants the Yisrael to give it over to him as a loan. Tinam li va'ani ale loch kederech sh'ato male lo. Also, and he says, give me that money, the lesser money, meaning the original loan money, and I'll return it to you with the ribis, the way you were supposed to return it to the nachri. It's also to do that because it's like the Yisrael giving the loan to another Yisrael with ribis. The im hamido etzel nachri. However, if they're standing in front of the nachri, the original malva, and then the muter, and the nachri is maskim that the Yisrael will give it over to the first Yisrael will give it over to the second Yisrael, and it's muter because it becomes as though the first Yisrael is the shliach of the malva, of the goy, and that's muter. V'chein nachri shelo v'mois Yisrael. So too in the case where a nachri will take money from Yisrael, and the Yisrael is allowed to take ribis from him, beribis. So bikish lach ziram lo, and then the nachri wanted to give back the loan to the Yisrael. But motzu Yisrael acher, and the Yisrael acher found him, the nachri, and wanted the loan from the nachri. He wanted to give him back the money with interest to the nachri, just as the nachri was going to pay interest to the Yisrael. So now a Yisrael finds the nachri, wants to take the original loan from the nachri and pay it back to the nachri with the interest that the goy was originally going to pay back to the Yisrael, but it's going to be a Yisrael paying it back to the nachri. For Omar lo, he said, "Tinam li va'ani ale loch kederech she'ato male lo muter." So in the case when the Yisrael asks him for the loan, and I'll give you back with the ribis to the way you were going to have to pay the first Yisrael, the malva. So that's muter. However, because at that stage it's like the nachri is giving the loan to the Yisrael, and he's allowed to charge ribis, and the Yisrael is allowed to pay ribis. However, if it's in front of the first Yisrael, the malva, and the malva here is being maskim that the nachri should give it over to the Yisrael, so im amidu etzel Yisrael also. But if the Yisrael, the first malva, the first Yisrael is there, and he knows what's going on, then it becomes as though the nachri is the shliach of the Yisrael to take ribis. That's awesome. So we had the two cases when the Yisrael took the loan from the goy, and when the goy took the loan from the Yisrael. So bishlema sefer and sefer, we can understand why when the second yid will come to give back, to make the deal with the nachri, but the first yid is standing right there, that it'll be also. Why? L'chumra. We can say it's a chumrah, because really there's that the goy should be a shliach for the Yisrael doesn't exist. But we can say we're going to be machmir because it's very close to ribis. He's doing it for the first yid, and therefore the Chazal will also that because it's close to ribis. El Reisha, where the Yisrael came in front of the nachri and said that and it was then okay because the Yisrael became the shliach of the goy to give it over to the second yid. So then we said it was okay. El Reisha, Why? That's the problem. Why is it okay? Elaresha Kaban to ain shlichus lenachri. Since there's really no shlichus lenachri. To say that the Yisrael is the shlich of the nachri, there is no shlichus of the nachri. So then, what was really happening? So iyu nihu the kos shokol mine rivisa. So it ends up being that since there's really no shlichus, it shouldn't be muter because it should be like the first yid is taking ribis from the second yid. Omer Rav Huna, Bamenuach, Mishmei de Rab Acha, Brei de Rab Ika. Hochma, what are we dealing with in that case? Going to Omar Le, that the goy told him in that case when the first yid who had taken a loan from the goy came in front of the goy to give it over to the second yid. He told him to Omar Le, he not hanicham al gabi karka. The goy told him to put the money on the ground, so it wasn't coming into the from the hand of the first yid to the hand of the second yid. It was placed on the ground. The potter and be potter. First yid should be potter from his hashava, from giving it back, and then it would be a loan of the goy to the yid with ribis. In fact, the Gemara Yachi, if that's what he was telling him to do, and that's why it's muter, so ma'alamer it's pashut that should be muter. Why would you have to tell us that it's muter in the case where you give over the loan to the second yid in front of the first goy? Ella, so Omar Rav Papa, going what was happening? Why was it muter? What did you have to teach us? Going shenoto v'nosan biyad, and that you put it back into the hand of the goy, and the goy gave it over to the second yid. So then, what's the chiddush? Of course, if you give back your loan, and then the goy gives it over to another yid, that should be okay. Akati ma'alamemra. So, like, what are we learning? That's pashut. And for the Gemara, no. You might have thought that nachri gufe ki ovid adai to the Israel ka gomim the yoyiv kamash mulan. You might have thought that the whole reason why is the goy giving it over to the second yid, because the first yid asked him to if he would give it over. So you might think that the goy, that we would make a gzeira over there also, that we would say that the goy, even though he can't become a shlich of a yid, but it would be a gzeira d'Rabbanan, because it looks like he is doing the shlichus midas the yid, and that it would be considered as though the yid is giving a loan with ribis. We should also that. Kamash malan, it's not the case. It's not looked at in that case as shliach of the yid, and we don't have to make a gzeira even to forbid it. Of Ashi Omar, Ki Aminan, and Shlichus Lenachri. If when we say that there's no Shlichus to a Nachri, what do we mean? Hani Mili, Bitruma. L'gabi Truma, the Nachri can't be a Shlich to take Truma for a Yid, because he's not shy to the Parsha of Truma, so we can't also to be a Shlich for a Yid regards Truma. Aval, B'chol Torah Kula, Yesh Shlichus Lenachri, but maybe only in that area, but in any other area, the Mominus or whatever. So maybe then we'd learn that the Nachri can be the Shlich for the Yid. The Rav Ashi. So the Gemara says, no, the Rav Ashi says such a thing, that's wrong. Brusa. That's Brusa, it's a mistake. It's out of place. Shouldn't be any difference between Truma, because Truma is the Makor, where we learn Shlichus B'chlau. What Rav Ashi said, that it should only be that you can't have a Shlich, a Goy cannot be a Shlich for a Yid, only L'gabi Truma. But maybe in every other area, for example, in Mamonis, maybe he could. That's what Rav Ashi said. The Gemara is saying that's wrong. It's not a true din. It's brusa. It's outside. It's chitzoni. It's a das chitzoni. So my shana truma shouldn't be any difference. My shana truma to low. So why? What's the reason in the first place why we said that a goy can't be a shlich l'gabi truma? It was because the chasiva says atem gam atem. You should be you, and also you and your shluchim can take the truma. So ma'atem, so they make a gzeira shava. Mamatzinu ma'atem b'nei bris. So what is your characteristic? That you're b'nei bris. You're a yid. So af shluchem nami b'nei bris. So all of your shluchim have to be like you, and b'nei bris. Shlichus the kolatayr kula nami, and all the other shlichus besides truma also is learned from that makor, the truma gamrin in law. So therefore we see there's no difference, and therefore a nachri who's not a b'nei bris shouldn't be able to be a shlichus for a yid in any area of the Torah. Rav Ashi Brusahi. And whatever Rav Ashi said that it should apply, that there should be shlichus of the Nachrim in other areas in the Torah, that's Chitzoni. Igad Amri Omar Rav Ashi, some said that Rashi's statement was the following: Ki Amrina Ne'ein Shlichus LeNachri, when we said there's no shlichus by Nachri. Hanimili, when was that? Inhu Lididan. That only was when that we should not be, they should not be our shliach in any area. Aval Anan Lididehu Havinin Lahu Shliach, but that we could be their shliach. Rav Ashi said, the Rav Ashi Brusahi. On that they said Rav Ashi was a das Kitzoni, it wasn't accepted what he said. Mashana Inhu. Why should there be any different? Why is it not accepted? There shouldn't be any difference. Mashana Niu Lididan. The whole reason why that that they cannot be our shliach. What's the reason for that? To lo kasiv delo, that they can't be. To kasiv, because it says atem gam atem. That was the makor where we learned from Truma. The rabbos shluchem, that you can have a shliach the gabi in yonim. So what was the criteria? Ma atem b'nei bris. Just as you are b'nei bris, you have bris milah, you have the bris milah. So af shluchem b'nei bris. So also your shluchim have to be b'nei bris, and nachrim don't have a bris milah. Anan. So why should that be any different? Why should we be able to be their shluchim? So anan l'didehu nami, should we apply also for us not to be their shliach? Sma atem b'nei bris. Come on, it says just as you are b'nei bris, you have a bris milah, so you can't be a shliach for someone who doesn't have a bris. So therefore, we conclude Hadir of Ashi Brusahi. Well, Rav Ashi's din was a chitzoni and not accepted. And we'll stop here.
You're very strong.